Hey guys, hey, we're here at Archer High School, going to be meeting with Resource Officer Patrick Reed. He's a member, he and his wife Angela and their children. They're at Hope and Life, but the Lord is using them in an outstanding way, not just in this school, but in the community at large with what is called Blue Cares. We'll talk more about that, give you a little glimpse of that and how Hope and Life has helped in the past, but how we're going to continue to help where the need is the greatest within our communities. And so right now we're talking about back to school as well, because we're not too far away from school jumping off again. And so we want to gather resources, supplies there at the theater. So would you please bring supplies as you're coming on a regular basis for the next couple of weeks as we're gathering everything that we can gather there in our in-person service from this Sunday coming all the way through to August the 15th. We're gathering supplies so that we can meet the need in our community. Also, if you're not able to be a part in service or unable to bring supplies, let's just say, or you'd rather just, it's a little easier on you, Gwen and I do this, then for a $20 donation, you're able to have a book bag put together for a student. And so the way you'll be able to do that, of course, you can give online, you can text to give, or you can give in person, even mail it into the P.O. box. And that's a way that we can continue to make a difference like we have for many years now in the local communities for the students that are at risk. And through organizations like Blue Care that we're going to talk about here just in a moment, we're able to really meet the needs. So, hey, God is good. He's awesome. And so watch and listen and hear what's happening in our area as we go meet Patrick. Hey guys, I'm excited today on our Midweek Meetup to have an opportunity to introduce to some of you folks that might not know Officer Patrick Reed, but those of you that are part of Hope and Life, of course, you should be aware of he and his family, his wonderful wife Angela, their two handsome boys, and a little bambino on the way. We're excited about the new addition that's coming, but Angela and Patrick and their family have been a part of our church, or Hope and Life, for a number of years now.
Yeah, we're over 15 years now. It was before we got married.
That's right, because you just had your anniversary.
Yes, last week.
10-year anniversary.
10 years,
we were able to be a part of that down in Savannah, Georgia, where it all, I guess not where it all began, but at least where the actual family began there.
Yeah, you married us.
That's right. That's right. So it works. It's working. But they're an outstanding family, and we're proud about what God is working and doing through their family, just in the Hope and Life community, but in Gwinnett. But Patrick is an officer here, and kind of give us the title of what you do here, or as Officer Reed here at Archer High School.
I'm a school resource officer for the Gwinnett County School System. I'm currently assigned to Archer High School. My main purpose is mentoring, facilitating that introduction between the community and law enforcement's first interaction. Hopefully it can be a positive interaction, and hopefully we can have a positive dialogue. We can help more see each other.
Didn't start here. This is a great opportunity. It's something that the Lord has placed you, to be an influence in this school. But what's awesome is where God puts you, He begins to open up doors for greater opportunity. We're going to talk more about how that, not just in Archer High School in this cluster, I guess, or this part of Gwinnett County, but what the Lord is doing in the greater aspects of Gwinnett. But you didn't start here as a resource officer. You started as a Gwinnett County officer.
I originally started with Gwinnett County Police in 2010. I did almost 6 years there, and then I transitioned to Gwinnett County School Police in 2016 on January 8th, I believe.
Let me say this, of course, because we were talking about this even prior to us, beginning our video today, our broadcast. But every one of us has been given an opportunity as a platform from the Lord. The Lord orders our steps. We don't choose a job and then expect the Lord to bless us in other areas. We ask God to order our steps, direct our paths, and then He puts us in callings and occupations, and sometimes things that we feel ill-equipped, and sometimes things we feel like we've been, prepared and perfectly put together to operate, in that office or in that calling or in that job. But Patrick, what I'm kind of referring to is when you were working as a Gwinnett County officer, it was more than just a job. It was more, obviously, there was a sense of calling because, you're making a difference in our community. I know more than once that you had reached out to myself and to the church to help families that were in need, that maybe were going to fall through the cracks, or there wasn't something that I'm trying to think of something specific, but a couple of families.
You helped me out. The church has helped me out on several occasions where I've called late at night, early in the morning, It's like, hey, I got this family. We need a hotel room. We need some food. And every time I've done that, the church has answered that call. I mean, one time specifically, I ran into a family right around Christmas, and they were homeless. And the church helped me get a hotel room for a week. Supplied over a couple $100 worth of food from Target, some clothes, got Christmas trees. It was a big deal. I believe that call came in. I think I called at the time. It was Pastor Brandon. He was our youth pastor. Mm-hmm. I called him. It was like 9 o'clock at night, and Pastor Avery got involved, and I think we got all that stuff settled. I think it ended up being like 11, 12 o'clock at night before we got it all taken care of.
Yeah, I think the call to me came closer to 11.
Yeah, it was late.
They had to get the okay, you know.
It got pretty late.
But we saw that as an opportunity as a church then, but even what's exciting about the things that are happening now, to be able to minister to those in our community that were at a great point of need. You know, we trusted the person that was bringing the information, but, you know, you went there just to, kind of assess and, and then move past. You know, the Bible talks about how that, Jesus gave the example of, what a true brother or friend is. And then he gave the example of the Good Samaritan, and someone that had the call of God on their life, someone that was, because he talked about a couple of Israelites, that were involved in church and had church in their life, but they looked and they assessed, but they passed. But it was a Samaritan that stopped and then began to help and minister. And so what's been awesome is to see in Patrick's past, how that, you've definitely been effective and important in our community, but you've also been willing to kind of get your hands in and apply yourself, I guess, a little bit beyond, go above and beyond, to help the need. That allowed us as a church, Hope and Life, to be a part of that. And now it's spiraled into something even a little bit larger, where that, maybe you can kind of tell us the genesis of it, but it's called Blue Cares. Am I right about that?
It's called Blue Cares, Blue Cares is a program that I started in 2019, and it specifically focuses on homeless kids, disadvantaged kids, kids that are in defects care, or anybody that's kind of at a disadvantage that needs a helping hand to help them get on equal footing with their surrounding environment.
Yeah, so it's something that as the Lord has promoted Patrick, or the Lord has given him opportunity to move forward within, this occupation, and being an officer in our community, from out there, doing your thing, now into a very kind of specific community, which is Archer High School. But it didn't change the fact of your wanting and kind of, well, not kind of, but definitely a calling to go above and beyond, to be more Good Samaritan-esh, where not just here, we're in your office right now, this is cool, it's the summer, so it's less noise and less stuff kind of going on, but y'all getting prepared for the everything that's going to happen with school starting back, right? Yeah, the rush, the storm that's coming, right? But that you were looking for the need or the way to be the hands and feet of Jesus in the community, and the Lord put you in a really solid school in a great county. Largest school system in Georgia. Correct. And Archer's one of the newer schools, and it's an excellent school. But your heart is to not only minister to the students, that are in need in this school, but it's blossomed from here to the county. So how did that begin in 2019? What was it, just a thought or an idea? How did the Lord deal with you?
The original issue came up. I have a mentoring group that I have, and inside that mentoring group, I noticed a couple of my kids were wearing the same shirt, same pair of jeans, same pair of shorts a couple times a week. Yeah. And from that, I just kind of asked the question, like, hey, what's going on? And from that, I thought maybe we had 5 or so kids that needed some help, and I was willing to help them out. Just growing off that curiosity, from talking to those kids, I realized that 5 was actually 10 students, that 10 was actually 20. Yeah. And from there, I started checking other schools in the cluster, which is our middle school, our secondary schools. Right. That number got a little bit bigger. And then from there, just curiosity again, I started checking with my surrounding cluster schools, meaning my South Gwinnett's, my Central, Grayson High Schools, those neighboring schools to Archer's High School cluster. And then from that number grew again. And so then I said, hey, we got a problem. And instead of complaining about it, I said, let me try to do something about it. And so originally I started just kind of asking teachers, like, hey, would you be willing to sponsor a kid? Give them some toys for Christmas and make sure they got some canned goods. And the teachers were outstanding, as they always are. We had a lot of teachers step up and sponsor different kids. But even with doing that, I was like, that's a big ask of teachers to say, hey, this is something I want to do every year. And so from that, this year, it blossomed to the point where I went and got sponsors. I've partnered with churches. Hope and Life is one of those churches. I say, hey, look, I got a group of kids. I would like to be 4 times a year. I want to run an event where every time the school system goes on a break, I would like to to send a specific group of kids like a care package. So for Thanksgiving, it would be more food oriented. For Christmas, of course, it would be more toys and gift oriented. For summer, it'd be more sports oriented. Just whatever's going on at that particular time, we would like to meet that need. Because unfortunately, you have to have some parents have to decide whether I get my child this ball,
right,
or do we eat dinner tonight. And in Gwinnett County or anywhere really, that shouldn't be the case. And so we started going about the task, or I started going about the task of doing something about it. And luckily, churches and the school I was in, the principal was all about community service. The teachers all about community service. The churches around here all about community service. And it wasn't just an Archer thing. It was a Gwinnett County thing.
Right.
And so now we've grown to the point where we have multiple churches involved, and we're still looking for more people to get involved, more churches to get involved, so we can help every child in Gwinnett County. If you have a need, we can meet that need.
And that from that little, and that's the way the Lord begins. Really, He starts with the little aspect, from little to much, faithful in the little, then being faithful over much. Where really just this little mentoring group that you were eyes wide open, able to care and to help, but then also to assess and say, hey, there's a need here, and that you wanted to fill that need. It's like the 5 loaves and a couple of fishes, right?
What I just thought about was a God thing. Is when I originally started, I needed 5 pairs of shoes for 5 students. Needed 5 pairs of shoes. 2 weeks ago, I got over 1,300 shoes.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, and that's what I was going to get to, the fact of the loaves and fishes, where there was a vast need, but all the Lord needed was a little bit, and then He multiplied it. So that's cool, because how perfect with what we're talking, because you needed 5 pairs of shoes, which are vital. Shoes are important. But now we sit here today, just a couple, 2 or 3 years later, and how many did you say, from 5 to what?
1,300.
Yeah, so that's what I think we call multiplication. So the Lord multiplies, and
a great deal.
And it's something now where there's even a storage area that you have, that you're putting things together, and not only the Archer, and you went from Archer cluster to the Gwinnett County school systems, but the police force as well is there with you. The communities come together, yes. And it's not just you. We'll have a video we'll play here just in a moment of the event that you had just before the summer began. Yes. School ended.
The summer send off.
That's right. But it seemed like there were a number of officers that were here as well. It's kind of neat where it's not just one guy. It might have started with you.
It's not one guy anymore.
Yeah,
it's an entire department. It's the community itself. It's the teachers. It's the community. It's administrators. It's counselors. Everybody's working together to take care of a need.
Right. So that's what's awesome, is that God looks for someone, and I want to encourage you, because oftentimes, as we were saying, a lot of times people think, oh, you're not in the ministry unless you're full time like myself, or unless you preach, or unless you do certain things like this. Patrick's just been very, very faithful in what the Lord has called him to, and has been a high quality and a high character individual. Loved his wife, loved his kids. Been faithful to the church, been faithful to the community, and the Lord is highlighting him and using him. And this is really his ministry platform. Who knows where it goes from here? But every one of you that are watching out there, honestly, you're called to ministry, and people will listen to you. This sounds funny to say it, more so than maybe they'll listen to me, because they'll say, hey, he's a pastor. My job is to really kind of hopefully encourage and fill you up, to go out there and be all that God's called you to be. And then you guys go, and we all go collectively, the highways and byways, compel them to come in. How do we compel them to come into faith? By meeting the need. If it's 5 pairs of shoes, now to 1,300 pairs of shoes. If it's lunches, if it, whatever it might be, just encouragement. I remember one moment that we were sitting in a smaller group as well, and you talked about a student that was here at the school that had some potential athletically, yes, but was challenged maybe at home or education. I don't know, where the challenges really were at, but yet I think it was a crossroads for the young man, yes, right? And kind of share a little bit about that, if you would.
So it was a young man here that attended Archer High School a couple of years ago. He would argue with teachers. He would argue with administrators. He would argue with me. He was just frustrated. He had a rough background. Home life wasn't so great. And he would act out here in school. And we would literally have to go back and forth every day, like, man, please go to class. Let's do this. Eventually got to the point I had to tell him, like, I'm not going to quit on you. So you can yell, you can argue all you want to. I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to run. I'm in your corner. And from that conversation, it sparked something in him to help him start believing in himself, that he wasn't alone. And today that young man, he's currently playing in the NFL, he's done a great job, and he's also reaching out to the community and helping others. So that spark grew into something else.
I remember when you shared that, I mean, it really touched my heart. I mean, so much I was moved a little bit. And, just because what I heard the heart of the Lord, ministry, not knowing what the young man could potentially become, with his athletic ability and the platform that provides for him to make a vast difference where he's at. Or if he just would have went on to school or just been a productive person, didn't have to end up in the NFL,
right.
But it has, and to God be the glory for that. But just, being an influence, basically saying, hey, I'm not going nowhere, I'm with you, I got your back. Being a real example of how that's what the Lord did for us. I'm not going nowhere. I'm standing in the gap. I'm standing here for you. And now that encourages us to be that for others.
Correct.
And like I said, it moved me because I heard Jesus in that. And I didn't know how it was going to all work out. But what you were saying, and I can't remember the full context of what we were talking about at that point. But I just know that when you said it, I heard the Holy Spirit in that, of just the calling that was on your life, and that the Lord was using you in a way in individual lives, but even in a collective way to make a difference. Mm-hmm. And that might even been prior to all of Blue Cares, or might have just been at the genesis of it, the beginning of it.
It was prior.
That's what I thought. So, it's cool. And we've not, we didn't sit here and kind of map out everything we're going to say. This is just a natural conversation. But it's perfect to see how that the Lord gave you an opportunity to maybe just stand strong and really kind of care about a kid, and how that little bit of being faithful at that post opened up a door for this little mentoring group, and then seeing the need there, and seeing the Lord provide the need. And what's awesome is how it on-ramps so many other people at various levels to be a part, where now that it's not just one, but it's many. I remember when Jesus said there's fish to be caught, and they went, and the fishermen that were his disciples, were like, man, we've been fishing all night. You don't go fishing during the day, but because you're Jesus, we'll throw over not the nets, but only one net. They threw over one net, and they caught so many fish that the net burst, and they had to have other little boats come and help them. But ultimately, there was another point in time where they were able to take the nets and bring in a big amount of fish. And that might have felt like at one point just one net that you were using, and that you were just being productive. And now how that it's multiplied into so many more things. And to God be the glory for it. I mean, it's all the Lord's design. And here we sit, in the summer, just prior to the new school year here in 2021 in the fall, not knowing what God's going to accomplish with everything that's taking place, but it's awesome to see how far it's come. And it's exciting, right?
Yeah, and it started from somebody was nice to me, somebody was kind to me, and that it had impacted my life. And so if I can give it back, and it can grow and somebody else can give it back, that's really what God calls us to do: be kind to each other, help each other when you can.
Hope in Life, we did partner, of course, with the event that ended the school season. And that was awesome. And what were you all able to do with that event?
For the summer send-off, we were able to provide food for the entire family. Each child's entire family was able to provide clothes, play equipment, for some special occasion, we were able to provide a couple of TVs for those who were just without one. It was bigger than I ever thought it was going to get, which was crazy to say. Now I'm ahead of schedule for the next event that we have coming up, but that event, it was amazing. It was huge. We got a couple of hundred people taken care of. All those people that were in need, that we could identify that were homeless or in a disadvantaged situation. And it covered Archer High School, Mill Creek High School, Norcross High School, Central High School, South Gwinnett, and Summer Shallow. So it was a beautiful thing, just kind of see how that grew and see how the community reacted to it, to say, hey, I want to be involved.
Like I said, we'll have some pictures and some things from that event, and about a 1-minute video or so that gives the highlights of some of that took place. And so let's go ahead and let's watch that now.
So today we're running our 4th annual Blue Cares program. This year our sponsors are Greystone Church, Hope in Life Church, Encouragement Ministries, Victory Hamilton Mill, and Victory Norcross. have all stepped up this year to help us raise enough capital so we can get enough things for kids to send home.
Any way that we can support the officers, but then also the community at the same time, I mean, it's a win-win all the way around.
This time of year going to the summer, we're looking at baseballs, bats, gloves, cleats, food, anything that might inspire a kid this summer to be their best version of themselves.
I think every organization that has a heart to give back, be it a church or some type of civic group, this is really something I think to consider being a part of.
It's teachers, it's counselors, it's administrators, it's school resource officers, it's the community itself are all a part of this to make this thing happen.
Of course, that was the video that was put together from the event right at the end of school year, heading into the summer. And now it's crazy to say it, but we're only a couple of weeks away from back to school. And so I know Hope and Life, we're gathering supplies and things like that, and excited. We're going to have a day of prayer on August the 1st. But what's going on with Blue Cares? What's taking place with you guys with back to school?
Currently, Blue Cares is taking donations and partnering with different organizations to be able to provide shoes, which is part of those 1,300 shoes that I was talking about earlier, school supplies, just in general, so the kids can have a good start. And that being said, if you need some shoes, please reach out, or you need some school supplies, please reach out to me, and I will make sure we get that done for you.
And we'll provide that. You might be able to see that at the bottom of the screen right now. We'll have information there. It should be an email.
Yes.
Email that you can follow up with Officer Reed and make him aware of a need that you might have, or a way that maybe you want to help someone. Because I'm sure it goes both ways. There's people that have needs, but also there's many of you out that are watching that I know are able to be a part of meeting the need. So if you're a pastor and you see this, or you go to a church that you feel like this would be a part of the heartbeat of your church, tell your pastor. You can get a hold of me as well. I can give you more information as well if your pastor needs to speak to another pastor. If you're a business person, or you're someone that just wants to be involved, any way that you can. Of course, I'm sure there's ways that maybe Patrick can find to have you a part, or in the future as this thing continues to grow. I know, it just seems like it's just on-ramping so many people, from teachers to officers to pastors and churches. So it's a cool thing. It really, I guess the best way to say it is a God thing.
Yes.
It's a good idea, but good ideas, do good things. This is, to me, and I'm sure you feel it even at a greater level than I see it, is that it's a God thing. It's a God idea.
It's definitely not me.
Right.
I never thought I would be capable of being involved in anything to this level. So it's definitely not me. It's entirely a God thing. He's walked before me in every room I walked into, and I've asked for different things. The answer's been yes before I even got there, and that has nothing to do with me. Just people are listening to God's heart and hearing that call. And when I walk in there, it's just that confirmation. I've had it happen several times where I walked in the room and said, "Hey, I'm looking for some donations," and it's like, "Hey, we have all this stuff we want to give.
Right.
We didn't have anywhere for it to go," and I was like, "Awesome! I got a whole school system over here, and I can get some kids for you." And so it's been a win-win.
Well, when you care about people, you love people, you want to help people. That's the heart of Christ. He came to seek and save that which was lost. He came to provide life, and life that much more abundantly. And what Patrick and the other officers that are partnering with you, the other organizations that are partnering, the churches, that's our heartbeat as well. So we want to do everything that we can do to partner. I know Hope and Life is going to continue to move forward and work with Patrick. And we would be working with you, I'm sure, even if you were not a part of our church, but we're just excited to know that you are. But we will definitely be partnering. But I've asked Patrick if he would, in finishing our time together, just to pray over the beginning of the school year. I know we're still just a little bit away, but we shouldn't wait till we get there. We need to start praying now. So since we have him, I want him to finish our time together in prayer.
Bow your heads for me. Gracious Heavenly Father, we ask that you walk before us in every school building in the county and in the world. We ask that you bless the halls, bless the conversation, bless the environment, bless the souls and the spirits of the teachers and the students and the staff involved. We ask that you make sure everyone is safe, make sure everyone feels your love and your presence, and continue to allow us to grow and be the best version of ourselves. Help us to be leaders in the community and not followers. Help us to do the right thing because it's the right thing, and because it's the right thing we do it. Help us to make sure our heart is pure. Make sure we have an open mind and open ears so we can receive our education, receive knowledge, and also be able to provide knowledge to others that are in need. We ask this in your Son, Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. I hope that blessed you and prepared you. We will continue to keep praying for our teachers, our educators, our officers, bus drivers, cafeteria. Schools are the epicenter, and of a community. They're the center of the community. They reflect the community. So we need to pray over our schools and pray that they'll be life-giving, not just educationally, but also to meet the needs and to make a gigantic difference. And I just encourage all of our believers out there that are teachers, and are part of the school system. You're called of God to make a vast and vital difference. And so we continue to pray for you. So it's going to be, we believe it, a great 2021 start back to school. I know there's still some things going on with COVID and things like that, but we're working through all those things. So if you have any questions or if there's ways that we can direct you to Patrick, just make sure, look at this information on the screen. Hope and Life Secretary, you can connect with us there. Patrick's information's there as well. And I believe together we can do so much more than we can by ourselves. And so let's see what God's going to do, okay? God bless you. Remember, Jesus provides hope for today, life for tomorrow's.